Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And here I have an AT&T network update for you guys out of El Paso, Texas. They are adding another site, and now the panels and radios have been installed on the site recently. And I'll tie in this video as well to the I didn't pull up the article for it, but in this video I'll be discussing the AT&T Crown Castle, and their potential small cell deployment. So AT&T is not very vocal publicly about any of their numbers, right? They don't, like T-Mobile, they disclosed at their analyst day they're going to deploy 50,000 small cells. And that was a part of the merger plan. AT&T really doesn't discuss it in that way publicly. And I think that's, for several reasons, but I do see them needing further densification just for the simple fact that C-band and DoD are of higher frequency. They're going to need to be more dense by default. If not, it's going to lead to a very roller coaster experience like what you saw with Sprint and the 2.5. With Sprint, you were on 2.5 and then you weren't until you got closer to the next site, and then you got 2.5 again, and then you lost it again. And that's not a great experience overall for the consumer. So AT&T has to tighten the grid. And I'm seeing them do it now in my market. It took them a long time, but they're starting to densify. Now, I know you're not seeing any C-band DoD panels. So these permits have went in way before they even started deploying C-band DoD on existing sites. So the whole C-RAN small cell deployment, I think they're going to do it. But I will caution expectations because I don't think they're going to go anywhere as big as what Verizon and T-Mobile are doing for several reasons, right? They're not going to do fixed wireless access to the same scale, so they don't need as many. They're not doing millimeter wave as much as Verizon, for fixed wireless access. So they simply won't need as many. They're doing fiber, and a large part of their investment is going to fiber. Right? A lot of people are still out there saying, okay, what is it? Is wireless more priority? Is fiber more priority? I will say this. I recently listened to the executive team at an internal town hall after the Q3 earnings. And they stated, Stanky stated that $1 spent on fiber returns them more money versus $1 spent on wireless. So just based on that commentary, I'll leave it to you to make your own assessment as to what's more important to the company. If wireless was a priority, you would see that. You would notice it. C-band would be at a bigger scale. They would have way more small cells in the network today. It's not hard to figure out. They try to take a balanced approach, but fiber is very expensive to deploy. So that's taking up a large part of the capital. And that's another thing that Stanky disclosed. He said, yes, our competitor did spend $20 billion more than us at the C-band auction, and they got X amount more megahertz of that spectrum, but we took that $20 billion that they spent more on the spectrum and we put it into fiber. That's a huge investment. Just think about where their wireless network would be if they weren't so aggressive on fiber. So it's just interesting to see, right? I'm seeing densification. I'm sure some of you are seeing new sites, but it's not as aggressive as they could be. I would say in my market, even with this new activity, they're still not anywhere close as dense as Verizon and T-Mobile. It's getting better, but they have a lot of years to go and a lot of small cells and macros to really catch up to that density. But it's getting better, right? It's getting better for them. And of course, their customers in the market, be that postpaid or prepaid or Cricket, they're going to get a better experience. But if we're talking the frequency that C-band and DoD are at, they're going to have to they're going to have to get closer to the density of what Verizon and T-Mobile are. And I'm sure it's like that for other markets as well. Will they get there? I think yes, but it's going to be a lot slower. They're going to take a lot longer to get the density to the type of scale that's needed for the C-band frequency. And that's just because they are spending aggressively on fiber. Whether they want to admit it or not publicly, there is priority on fiber, and it's likely a higher priority over wireless. Now, that doesn't mean that wireless is forgotten about, call it a day, but they just don't have the same type of motivation to deploy wireless as much because they're doing fiber, right? If you look at other markets like New York, Las Vegas, AT&T is just simply behind. They need more densification in those bigger markets. Now, there are some markets where they just naturally have high share, like Philadelphia, Dallas, Oklahoma City. They're very dense there because they have high market share. In some cases, the leading market share. So that's just going to naturally happen. They have to invest. If not, the churn's going to go high. But they have a ways to go to densify across, a national scale to really make it a continuous performance across its C-band channels. And that means more customers are connected to the C-band DoD more times, right? If you're only connected in your market 40% of the time to the C-band, then what's the use of putting it on air, right? You want to get that to 70, 80%. There's still going to be some handoffs to low band when you're indoors if you're not super dense. But eventually, AT&T will have to get after it, and they'll have to embrace the grind. So make sure you guys stay tuned for more. Like, share, subscribe, follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Life. See y'all in the next one. Peace.